co-founders and chief operating officer for the Stafford Boxing Club Incorporated, our nonprofit organization, which is a yearly mentoring program for at-risk youth in the community.
So we will be able to teach financial literacy, communication, discipline, decision-making, as well as campaigning for a premium education.
These are the foundation for the Stafford Boxing Club, these 20 mentees in our program here at Panola Way Elementary School. 20 years from now, Stafford Boxing mentees will be known across the world.
Hello, and welcome to another great episode of the Stafford Boxing Report. I am your host, Lady Stafford.
You already know I'm Stafford, the big Stafford. That is no cappuccino. Stafford Boxing.
The making of champions. What's going on, everybody around the world?
What it do? What's happening in my boy?
Welcome.
You know we like to wheel on in to the Stafford Boxing Report. You know we got a great show today. We put a lot of work.
Facts.
We hope that you enjoy this podcast show as much as we put into it. So you always get out of it what you put into it. So we always put 100%. You feel me?
100.
Mm-hmm.
$1.
Yes. What's going on?
Well, I want to start off by just saying that I want to shout out to all the women that are doing their thing, stay-at-home moms, mothers who work in and out of the household, just everything you do. Just keep your head up. Make sure that you surround yourself with positive people and stay out of trouble. Keep changing and do what you do.
I want to give a shout out to all my bros out there who on the grustle, the grind and hustle you did, and who's doing great things in the home and doing amazing things in the community. Oftentimes, bros don't get a lot of credit and support, but your boy Stafford, you know what I'm saying? I'm saluting you. I see you out there in the community doing big things, being great fathers, great providers, great spiritual covers for not only yourself, but your wife, your kids, your children's mother, etc., etc. I see you getting up early in the morning, getting to it, trying to make them donuts for real. So I respect you guys, and I'm just sending you some love because we need to uplift each other up. And so I hope this acknowledgement will put a little fuel in your tank to
And I do want to say something since you said fathers, whether they're married or if they're not married. And I want to say this to the mothers. And I've said this before, but I keep hearing about it. Stop talking bad about the dad to your children.
in front of the kids.
Because in my opinion, that's mental abuse. But regardless of what you want to call it, it's abuse. It's not our kids' fault that we chose to be with that person. And sometimes, depending on what's going on with one particular person, we stay when we know we shouldn't, but it happens. That's our fault. We have to take responsibility. And if we know that the dads, not all dads, it's some, that are not going to pay child support, right? But they still want to see their children, let them see the child, because
you don't know what they're going through.
I'm going to let you know, yes, I do have kids. I never spoke bad about their dads to them because that was none of their business. Just as long as the dads did not do anything that would be harmful to them, then I was good. And yes, I was the primary person who was financially responsible for them. And yes, I did have some help from my parents. but they were still my responsibility. So in my mind, how I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? They're my kids. If they decide not to, then I have to step my game up and do whatever it is that I have to do to make sure that my kids have what they have. Not say, oh, you're a deadbeat and do all of that. So my kids' dads should be very happy and grateful because I have no ill intentions towards them. Once they apologized, and even before they apologized, I was good. So stop doing that.
Yeah,
They need their dads.
they do. And, Sheila, I really want to commend you because as long as you and I have been together, you never spoke down on
No
your
need
father
to.
kids.
It was my
Never.
fault, my
I
responsibility.
never heard her say anything negative about them, which was rare. And that's what made me really like look at her in a different way. And she wanted the kids, father, to be in their lives. I wanted them to be in their lives, but when I when I did introduce myself and say, "Hey, man, listen, I'm in your daughter's life," etc. I know oftentimes when a man come into a woman's life and she have kids, oftentimes, the man, he does things to the child and be very abusive towards their mother. I didn't do any of them things. But Buddy thought I was sweet, like a god dog on me, glazed honey bun, and
At
he tried me.
what's that place called that they turn the light on?
Oh, Krispy Kreme with the red light on, so it was fresh coming through the glaze machine. And he tried me in terms of trying to holler at my wife. And I told him, I said, "Hey, bro, listen. First of all, you should respect me for the simple fact that I'm coming to you as a man, introducing myself. And on top of that, I'm telling you, like, hey, man, I'm not trying to be her father. I have no desires to be her father. I said, you are her father, and I want you to be in her life. It's going to take all of us to help this young lady be who she needs to be." But unfortunately, he had other plans. And, oftentimes, someone trash might be another person treasure. So when you have someone significant in your life, I think it's very important that you respect them, that you value them, and you appreciate them. Because once they're gone, someone like me, you see with the drip on her last name, Stafford, that is no cap, real talk.
And also, I want to add on to that with family because it's been bothering me a little bit, but I'm not going to go too deep in this, so you don't have to worry. Stop believing one side of the story and get all the facts because there's three sides: one person's side, the other person's side, and then it's the truth. So now nobody's talking and it's really crazy. So now you feel some type of way and you really have no reason to feel some type of way. And to the women or everybody, we have been, and I have been somewhat transparent, just giving you all little snippets of whom I used to be and who I am now, and some things that I'm trying to work on. None of us is perfect. And I believe that really sets us apart because you have so many people on different social media platforms, and they're always trying to give advice, give advice, give advice. But the kicker is they're not sharing some of the things that either they've gone through, they've experienced, they've done, or the challenges that they may be going through. And I think that makes us solid because we have been doing that. So,
Not only that, but I think oftentimes you got so many people giving advice, but their lifestyle doesn't match up
with it.
to their advice. And so what you see here today is two imperfect people whom God has chosen to do an extraordinary thing in the community. And oftentimes I choose not to be personal with people because I think time will reveal that. But what I will say is that everything you see is 100% authentic. It's no artificial colors or any type of adjectives added to who we are. We are real. We're very transparent. We have a passion for helping kids. We have a passion for doing the things that has been placed in our heart by God Himself. And we're just going to do our part in terms of be who we are, what we've been called to do, together and individually. And, I feel like, Sheila, we are in a unique and privileged position in life. Number one is that you have a husband and wife doing something together. Number two is that our passion is to help kids. The second thing is education. Me and Sheila is very passionate about education. I always look online and I see other parts of the world where they take education more serious than the kids here in America. I'm very disturbed and very disappointed that I continually see a repeated thing in terms of these kids coming to school, you fighting the teachers, you're being disruptive, you're tearing up the school property, and then so now the parents are in cahoots with the teacher. Now I'm not saying that there aren't any bad parents and there aren't any bad teachers. I'm not saying that, but I humbly believe that a teacher does not have an agenda to wake up early in the morning, put on her clothes or his clothes, get prepared, leave, drive maybe an hour away from their place of residence to the school to be able to be disruptive or disrespectful to the kids. I'm seeing how teachers are viewed in America compared as teachers like in Africa, China, um, uh, South America, uh, Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. A teacher is looked upon as being honorable. You know what I mean? And in the United States, teachers are underpaid. They got to go through so much through the union to get mere crumbs. And I don't like to get involved with the politics and the government, et cetera, but there needs to be an overhaul in terms of how we treat our teachers, how we set up things for them to be able to succeed in the classroom, not having to come out their pockets to pay for books, pencils, paper, folders, all these type of things which should be provided by this particular school. And I just, I'm very concerned because when I look at the school system 10 to 15, 20 years down the line, I just see a big disparity in terms of the resources at this particular school compared to that particular school. But in the Stafford Boxing Club mentoring program, we emphasize about having a public library card because I want all our kids that are in our program to understand that you will never give us an excuse why you didn't have the information. One thing about a public library system is that it's taxpayer money that goes into the libraries. If the library don't have it, they'll check the circuit in other surrounding libraries in that particular county. If they don't have it, they will order it. So it's no excuse for our kids to understand that they will be go getters of their knowledge. That's what we emphasize. That's what we preach. We preach about academic excellence and also having a character of a champion. Our slogan is Stafford Boxing, the making of champions. We want the kids to walk with a champion character. And the struggle is real. The struggle is real. And that's what this topic, this podcast is about. The struggle in our homes, the struggle in our community, the struggle in the workforce, the struggle in the boxing ring, the struggle in these streets. It just serious out here. And, we want to shed a little light about the struggle. But in that struggle, we believe that it polished us to become diamonds so that we can shine. And so we have to be mindful of the journey. Oftentimes people, man, I can't wait till I do this or wait till I do that or wait till I accomplish that. But then when you get there, then what's next? We emphasize to our kids, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey because life is a journey. So you will always be engaged to your journey so that you can continue on in your journey. And as you move forward in your journey, you will hit certain milestones and that show growth.
Facts. You know what I was thinking?
Mm.
Do you think that since we are talking about the struggle is real, we should talk about when I was going to school, but just keep it real short?
Sure. Why not?
Well, I'll start it off and then you finish it.
Bet.
Okay, so before we get into, especially within the boxing industry, with the struggle being real, we're going to give you just a snippet of our testimony. My husband and I, we were homeless. We were living in our car. I had an accident, which was not my fault. I got hit from behind. It was the impact of 3 different cars. I could barely walk for about a year and a half.
And I took care of my wife.
We both lost our jobs because of that.
You know what I'm
Now,
saying?
of course, we did have some money saved up, but it wasn't enough.
Can I say this before you
Yeah,
move?
go ahead.
So a lot of times people may have things in place so that when life experiences or crisis come, that you can deal with it. But man, sometimes you can have stuff in place and it still may not be enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like talking about us, being homeless. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like talking about it. And the reason I don't like talking about it is because the perception that someone may have of you.
But look, there's a bright light, and it's something that I have been wanting to talk about because, like I always say, baby, it's not about us. There's always somebody out there that's going through something. And when that guy had got in contact with you on the YouTube, on one of the podcasts, when I think we were talking about domestic violence.
Yeah.
And it's even if it's just one person, and that one person who you spoke with, I promise you, you gave him something good and he took it off. So I understand my husband, but there's a look where we are now. So just real quick, he took care of me because I barely could not walk for over a year and a half. We were in this situation. So within this situation, my husband said, God told me that you need to go to school. We did everything we were supposed to do. Now, the wonderful thing about this is there's 2 ladies, and I am so sorry, I do not remember who they are. I talked to them, and I told them, I said, look, I'm not that person anymore. I don't do any of the things that I used to do. I said, I just want my education. I just want to go to school. They both said, don't worry about it. We got you. I showed my husband, we were at the library, and it said, congratulations, you will be coming to Georgia State. So we went, I was going to
tell them about when the time when I had came downtown and I had and you was crying.
Oh yeah. Before that.
That was maybe about 2-3 years before that. Yeah.
Was it? It was?
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, it was. So okay, so let's back up.
Put it in reverse.
My husband was always going to Georgia State University.
Oh, and one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
God bless Dr. Susan McClendon.
I met her 1 time or 2 times.
Over at the College of Education. She was the late daughter of Dr. Alonzo Krim High School in Atlanta on the east side, but she was over the Krim Center in the College of Education building at Georgia State University. And I established a relationship with Dr. McClendon. And one of the things that I want to say about Dr. McClendon was that her spirit was like a butterfly. And anytime she saw a black man or a black woman doing something significant or positive in the community, she will always help. And Dr. McClendon always opened up the Krim Center for allowing me to come fax some, scan some, print something, type something, or whatever. I mean, whatever secretarial thing that I may, administrative resources that I may have needed at that particular time to further my vision, my entrepreneur journey. I have to credit a lot of that to Dr. Susan McClendon. And also her son is a football. Well, I remember one of her sons were playing for University of Georgia, and then he became a coach. And the youngest son now, so the last name is McClendon. So he plays for University of Georgia, which they just won a national championship. So when I was on TV and I saw the back of the name of the jersey that said McClendon, and I looked at him, I said, man, I remember he was younger, but he a big dude now. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so I used to stay in the car in a parking lot, and I used to see the kids. They'd be in groups, having fun, talking, their books, carrying their book bags, and I cried. And I cried because I was like, these kids are doing something with their life. I want to do something with my life. I want to go to school. I want to have an education.
And I will always tell her, I said, Sheila, your time gonna come when you're gonna go, have an opportunity to go to school. And I always wanted her to go to Georgia State anyway, because Georgia State to me is the best university in the whole wide world. And Georgia State is, played a significant role in my development as a man and who I am today.
So just to make it real quick, we were in different spots, and then the one spot that we were in was, I would say, in the hood. It was in a bad spot where we ended up at. It was in a bad spot because you said the first 48 was there. We used to see break-ins. It was prostitutes, people who were on drugs, killings that was going on around us. And I would wake up at 4:00 in the morning.
Both of us.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, baby, they know that. If I'm talking about me, I'm talking about you too.
Say no more.
So I would walk. What do you think? How long was it?
I say about 1.5 miles, 2.
I
say about 1.5 miles to close to 2.
Okay, to the bus stop.
One
way to the bus stop. And at one time I had to catch 3 buses until I caught on that I really only had to take 2. That was during the rain, sleet, hot, all that. We didn't have any heat. We didn't have any AC in the car. And I didn't have a laptop. So I would be up from 4 to 10 because perimeter closed at 10. And then we started going to the downtown campus, and their library closed at 2 a.m. So we'll be there, and I'll be there studying, trying to learn this algebra. He's doing his thing with his business and da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so I was taking like 5 or 6 classes. I was really trying hard. Shout out to Coach Edwards. Coach Edwards at the recreational center.
At the Clarkson campus.
Yes, at the Clarkson campus. Yep. He gave me an opportunity. I was a student assistant.
And he just walked up to you, right?
Yeah, no, I don't even know how. Yeah, I think so. I was also a personal trainer there as well. So shout out to Coach Edwards. He's like a father figure to me, and he really stood by us.
The whole Clarkston campus.
Yeah.
It was like a family to us, you know what I mean? Because they knew you and then they knew me. But when my wife would catch the bus at night, I'd be waiting for her to get off the bus and we'll walk like another 1.5 miles.
Because it was dangerous, because it was some of everybody. It was nothing but God that really kept me safe, because really in that area that we were anything could have happened.
The struggle was real.
So I had a purpose and I saw it, and I'm not even afraid to say this. I pretty much wore my jogging suit every day.
Like every day, bro.
And the same thing every day. And the kids, of course, used to make fun of me, but I really didn't care. I wasn't getting my eyebrows done, getting my hair done, my nails done. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. That wasn't important to me. Of course, I had to try to take care of my hair because I didn't want it to fall out. But that wasn't important to me. What was important to me was to just keep my eyes focused. And I just stayed to myself. I did work at the gym, and my husband was helping, and he was working, and he was doing his thing. So then I ended up going to the downtown campus, but the pandemic hit. We had it online or whatnot. And because, shout out to Bonnie Young, she's the one who wrote the recommendation for me to get into the sports administration program.
And Dr. What's my man's name?
When I took the African American history. Please remember his name. He was the best.
For real.
He had like 9 or 10.
He had about 100 degrees.
I hope we remember his name, but he let me shout out to all of my professors. Shout out to all of my professors. And now, for those who may not know, I have a bachelor's degree in sports administration with a minor in entrepreneurship.
Oh, and shout out to
Dr. Hughes, Dr. Newman.
Yeah, Dr. Newman. Man. And Dr. Hughes, that boy from the
Yes,
H.
yes.
What's his name? Dr.
You're gonna figure it out.
It start with a K.
I can't remember right now.
Is it I was about to say
So after that, I graduated. That's when my husband had said, Sheila, learn some more about boxing. And then I was watching Mike and Cedric, and they were just so open. They had open arms. We used to talk, discuss back and forth. And then Graham got in contact with me on LinkedIn. And then Eric, we all just started talking. So I was like, and let me just say this real quick. When you do what it is that you're supposed to do and people vouch for you, do not disappoint them. Even now, I don't want to disappoint anybody. Just because I am no longer doing certain things does not mean that I still have to hold myself accountable. But then also those who put their names on me or names on my husband, we can't disappoint them. So we're not trying to do
we got sponsors now.
Anything to ruin that. So that's our testimony. So the struggle is real.
Can I add on to that?
Sure.
I want to also say that I'm proud of you because through it all, you never stopped loving me.
No, for what?
You never once said that, hey man, it's time, I don't want to do this no more. It was like, I felt like going through that really made our bond stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw you walk across that stage and I saw you shake the president's hand, to me that was we was walking across that stage together.
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't know what I had to go through to make sure that you got the opportunity to pursue your education without being interfered from the former administration.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I was willing to, I ain't no willing, but I put my life on the line for you because this is something that I believed in my heart that God told me, say, hey man, tell Sheila this is her opportunity to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of you because you did this like straight through. You didn't take no breaks during the summer. You feel what I'm saying? And then I am so grateful to God that we had the money, you know what I mean, to be able to pay for the rest of it, because had I not had the money saved up,
it would have been an issue.
I would have been hurt. Mm-hmm. And so I understand now when people say how I run out of money.
Yeah.
So having gone through that experience with you, I just realized like, man, it's important to save your money. Mm-hmm. It's important to not spend carelessly with your money, to be a good steward over your money. And Sheila, everything that you went to school for is kind of like you're applying it now. Mm-hmm. And I want to thank Dr. Newman.
Man, yes.
Because what he allowed me, together, her curriculum was like something else. But I was like, nah, I did the research and looked at certain departments, and I looked at the entrepreneur, and I was like, and I looked at all the classes that they were offering, and I was like, well, let me see, if you take this class, it'll help you with this. If you take that, and you can substitute with that. So what I was doing was typing up emails and, on her behalf, and she was sending it to heads. Well, now I can talk about it because it's over. Mm-hmm. But I was the one behind the scenes shooting them emails to the different departments and heads and say, hey, woo, and Dr. Newman allowed my wife to be able to substitute those classes for entrepreneurship when that wasn't part of the curriculum. So for her to get her minor in entrepreneurship was something that was different. That's something that, that curriculum didn't offer. I just felt the need to, her be informed and have more knowledge of what is to be an entrepreneur, because Georgia State is a research university, and that's who I am. I'm a researcher. I will research something down to the T, and I have to thank Georgia State from way back in back in 1996 or 7, one of them, they had Library South. And at the Library South, it used to be open, like the computer lab used to be open 24 hours a day. And so when I was going to school at Georgia State at the time, it was on a quarter system. Now today is on a semester system. And so like if you fail one class, it's like you might have to drop that class. But anyway, down in the computer lab, man, I used to see these guys come, and they used to be there like 24 hours a day. They used to have a toothbrush, their washcloth in a Ziploc bag. They used to wash their face, come back. And so that had a huge impression on me, and how they would do the research. And that's when the internet was just starting to, take off the research, the search engine. I think it was Yahoo. Yeah, Yahoo and AOL were the premier. Yeah, Yahoo and AOL was the premier search engine. And so Georgia State just that experience made me, it just impacted me. And being around people at that particular time who were focused and their work ethic was different. So anyway, moving forward to this time. So with Sheila, I was so proud of her because, like, man, throughout this whole journey at Georgia State, like, we used to be at the library like 2 a.m. So we'd be at one library, and then we'll go to another library downtown, and we'll stay there. And Sheila had failed
algebra.
What was it, twice?
Yeah, I failed I failed algebra because I had to take the basic algebra because I never taken it before. Missed it by 1 point.
And he wouldn't
even give me the point, but that's okay. And then
so the pressure was on because it said if you fail this time, you had to wait a whole another year.
Yeah.
And that
wasn't going to happen. So I just stepped up my game even more. And it's crazy because when you have that one class, like if you're taking 5 or 6 classes and you have that one class where you have to put extra in, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm on this one class 24 hours and I have other work and I have reading and chapters would be like 12 pages long, and then I might have to read it 2 or 3 times. So I did everything I was supposed to do. So I passed that. Then I took the algebra, the regular algebra,
Now, mind you, she was out of school for over 25 years.
I never took algebra before in my life. And shame on the person that put letters in algebra. That is so totally ridiculous. But anyway,
we got this out the mud.
I flunked again because there's so many different parts to algebra. And I'm like, are you serious? It's like chapters. I flunked that. My husband told me to take it in the summer, but the summer classes are 7 weeks. I didn't pass it. And the teacher who I had, she felt so bad. She came to me and she said, I feel so bad that I didn't even pass you. She said, you did everything possible that you were supposed to do to pass. And I told her, I said, you know what? That's okay. Because the little bit extra that I was able to learn, when I took it again, it was like a refresher. But then I still had a few other ones that I had to learn, but it wasn't as hard, but it was hard. So this is where we are now. So
the struggle is real. We got it out the mud.
So the struggle is real.
And
anybody can do it.
I'm gonna talk about this, but it's not something that I know that Georgia State will never give me the recognition that I deserve. Never. I understand it. And But the facts is the fact. We can pull paperwork out to vouch what I'm saying. So the former administration, the president of the school, huh?
You sure you want to talk about that? I'm going to cancel that right now.
Don't
I'm not going to do it right
okay.
now. Yeah.
All right, well, I was going to talk about it, but my wife said don't talk about it right now. But at the end of the day, we have the first African-American president here at Georgia State University. And can I say that part?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So without
without what it is that you had to go through and what you had to do,
he wouldn't be
he
here.
would not be here.
He wouldn't, and that's a fact. And that's a fact, Dr. Blake. Dr. Blake, no. And Dr. Blake, I ain't even gonna say nothing how you anyway, but I ain't even gonna trip.
Don't.
I
because you never know how the tables may turn. You know how God does.
Oh yeah. And I'm not talking bad about Dr. Blake or nothing.
But sometimes you get frustrated.
I do, but at the end of the day, it was a sacrifice that was made that paved the way for Dr. Blake to become the first African-American president in Georgia State University history. That's a fact. That's a fact. And my name is added to that.
Hey, Last Bell Boxing, what's going on?
He know. But anyway, let's move on.
Okay, so, all right. So since we're talking about the struggle is real, I have some boxers that have gone through the struggle. So the first one is Billy Nisk. He was called the St. Paul Thunderstorm. Mm-hmm. He was a boxer. And he was diagnosed with Bright's disease, which is a kidney ailment.
I remember you were telling me about that. And how did you discover this, though?
I guess the way between you and Georgia State University having to do so much research, and then I just be researching and digging. You know, I took journalism, so the journalism class helped me out a lot too.
Facts.
And he did fight Jack Dempsey. He lost. He fought in the 1913s. He only had 5 years to live, but he still fought. Mm. His health started going down, and he had a family. He had a wife and kids. He asked his manager, I need one more fight because I want to give my family one more great Christmas before I go. Mm. So his manager worked it out. He had the fight. He made $2,400 from that fight, which was a lot of money in those days.
1913?
Yes.
That's when Georgia State was that was the founding year of Georgia State, 1913. Yeah.
But it was in 1918 that he was given the diagnosis. So on New Year's Day in 1924, he passed away. Mm. So he was able to give his family the best last Christmas before he passed away.
Now that's a struggle.
Now that is really a struggle because during that time too, and the medicine isn't like how the medicine is now, and it was a struggle during those times.
But baby, we had talked about how being a professional boxer or
it all relates to even everything that we do.
Yeah, a boxer go through so much, like the struggle of a boxer.
We're gonna go through that too.
Whoo!
So then we have Danny Jacobs. He's called the Miracle Man, and he had spinal cancer. And he had to be put in a wheelchair. He was able to have the surgery. The cancer was removed. But the doctors told him that he may not be able to ever walk again. Well, from them telling him that and having his surgery, he went through 6 months of therapy, physical therapy, and he ended up fighting. Mm. And he did a knockout.
Knockout?
Yep. Jeez. So please tell me that the struggle is real. Now, if you want to talk about Tyson Fury has also opened up about his mental health when he was having some mental health issues too. And it goes further. When boxers, male or female, they have so much on their plate that they're thinking about. They're thinking about their training. They're thinking about their opponent. They're thinking about everything that they have to do. Sometimes they have to be away from their families because they have to really stay focused on what it is that they're doing. Sometimes the person who is boxing may be the only breadwinner to help with their family. And then they know that there could be a serious injury that can occur and has occurred, unfortunately. And they don't really have any peace until after the fight. Even with their training, they say that you can get hurt while training. And that has happened too. And to keep focused and to still do what needs to be done, the struggle is real. I mean, we can also talk, Jack Fay. He was homeless. This was during the time when the coronavirus had just came about, and then the pandemic hit. And when that happened, he wasn't working. He didn't even have any money, and then he had some family issues. He was trying to find work, but he couldn't. He still went to box. He still went to train. He still did what he was supposed to do. He was trying to find a job. He couldn't find a job. And that's when an opportunity came about. And that was on May of 2021. We have another one. Boxer Lamont Peterson, him and his brother were both homeless at a very young age. They were 8 and 6. They were the second and third of the youngest of 12 children. They were put in foster homes. One of the foster homes, they ran away. They did stay on and off with family.
I know his name.
Yeah, I just said Lamont Peterson.
Dr. Barrow.
Oh, Dr. Barrow, yes. Shout out to Dr. Barrow. He is the most... He is the most animated, positive person. I learned so much because that was in my African American studies. Yeah. And when I tell you...
Dr. Barrow, man, I'm talking
Shout out.
Dr. Barrow, man.
Dr. Stafford.
Man, he called me Dr. Stafford, man, because anyway, but Dr. Barrow was, man... Yo.
He was very interesting, and I think the other students thought he might have been weird, but he wasn't weird because of the way he'll come into class. He'll say, "Everybody's just going to be great. We are going to have lawyers and doctors," and just used to speak positive affirmations to us. And I think the way that he went about things, people would be like, and I used to look at him and be like, and I'd be like, no, don't do that. You just don't know. We really have a special man here.
Man, Dr. Barrow is a great man. He is passionate about education.
Oh, he is very passionate.
He's passionate. I mean, he's one of the most passionate human beings that I ever met when it comes to education.
Always positive.
And he was in a boarding school. I can't remember, was it in England? He went to a boarding school in England?
It might have been England. I remember he said he's been there.
Man, Dr. Barrow.
I wonder if he got his degree from England, because he used to say if you want to be a lawyer, was it England that he said where it's shorter?
Yeah. Because he would always encourage me. He would say, Dr. Stafford, you need to go to England because you would be a great lawyer because, and I would tell him, Dr. Barrow, that I'm very humbled that you would even acknowledge my skill set. But I learned that through, it goes back to Georgia. Yeah, it goes back to Georgia State in terms of like just research. So being in the blood plasma industry is a very analytical industry. So when I read about blood and then the regulatory compliance with the Food and Drug Administration and the CFR and just other regulatory information as it relates to a blood plasma establishment. So just reading that and studying that, it helps my mind to comprehend information. And I think that was the gift that God gave me, is the ability to comprehend information. So if I go into a conversation and I may not know the topic, if I sit there for a few minutes and get to listening to what's going on, I just pick it up just like that. So when I was dealing with an issue in my journey, civil, let me put that out. So I would go to the law library at Georgia State University and the law library at Emory. And so I would just study and read and read and read. And I never forget that that librarian at Emory University, she told me, she said, you're gonna pay two ways. Uh, when it comes to your case, you either gonna pay for it through money or you have to pay through it through time. One of the two. And she said that, and I never forget, and I was very grateful to receive something like that from a law librarian. She said, I've never seen no one like you before. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, just your drive, your focus, your discipline, and to never taken any type of law courses or anything, how you able to grasp and able to put together this and do that and whoop the whoop. But I don't know. I just thank God for everything. But yeah, Dr. Barrow is a great guy. He's a professor at Georgia State University over at the Clarkson campus. His subject matter is African studies, and he is definitely a pillar for the Georgia State educational system. I mean, he is awesome, bro. Like, he was he spoke so much life into my wife. He wrote a recommendation letter for you to get for a scholarship. I mean, he just believed in my wife, and he's solid. But anyway, Dr.
Shout
Barrow,
out
to Dr. Barrow. And, one more,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Miles.
Oh yeah,
Man,
that's my negotiation class.
Man, it's so many professors at Georgia State. It's so many people that I know at Georgia State. Like,
When I went up high, when we had our first negotiation, he said, yes, you are Stafford all the way. Because I set up a high price because we used to have to negotiate with each other. It'll be, of course, one-on-one, or then it'll be a group. And I struggled on my second one because I'm like, I almost cried. I was about to cry. I did cry.
man,
I cried. I cried.
Dr.
I cried a lot
Miles.
of times with trying to get this education. My gosh.
But I was there because, you know what I'm saying, I was like, baby.
I used to take my frustration out on him too.
But I ain't care about that. I ain't even care about that because I already knew what she was going through, and I knew, and I was looking at the end. Like, I was like, baby, we just gonna have to go through this. I don't care nothing about that. And so I'm just amazed by the transformation that she has evolved into this amazing, beautiful, intelligent woman. And so in our program, Sheila has set the bar up this high. So it shouldn't be no excuses for none of y'all that's in the Stafford Boxing Club mentoring program to get a college degree.
Yeah, so they have to pass me.
Oh yeah,
you got to get doctors.
Oh yeah,
I don't even want to say masters. Just go straight up to doctors. Yeah. I thought I wanted to do that, but I'm tired. But let me finish this. And the two brothers, they also used to live in abandoned buildings. They would sleep in abandoned buildings, cars that were abandoned, bus terminals. And from time to time, they would live at their grandparents' basement, which had roaches, occasional snakes, and rats. During that whole time, they were still going to the gym, training, doing everything that they had to do and everything that they were supposed to do. So once again, the struggle is real.
But you know what, Sheila? Most of the successful boxers
have come from that background.
Have come from poverty.
Yeah.
And they were always like Floyd Money Mayweather. You know, he come from that same Gervonta Davis. Yeah. What's my man name? Philadelphia. He went to prison and then he came out. Man, what's his name? It's right on the tip of my tongue. I'm looking right at him. Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins. Yeah. He another one. Mike Tyson. Evander Holyfield. I remember Sugar Ray Leonard testimony. He had a for real one. Marvis Hagler. Tommy Hearns. All them guys come from impoverished background, but yet they stuck with their dreams. And I was listening to a podcast by his name is Coach Collinsworth. He's out of Houston. And he was talking about how these boxers sometimes would sleep in the backyard of someone's shed. Now just think about that. I don't know if you know what a shed is, but it has no insulation. It has no circulating air system in it, no heating system. It just a aluminum shed. So in the winter it get cold. In the summer it get hot. And so for a boxer, because at any given moment, a boxer can get a fight just like that. And a boxer got to be ready for that opportunity because they may not get it again. And so, the profession of a boxer is real. But that's just anything in life, though. You feel what I'm saying?
But I think also the difference with the boxer, it's more... it's a lot more physical. It's more physical, and then you really have to rely on your mental and your spiritual and just everything. Now, I'm not saying there are physical jobs too, like constructions, or if anybody who works in a warehouse. But the boxing is for real.
It's a different.
You have to go through more, and you have to do more, and you're putting your body through different certain changes to get that strength, make sure you have that cardio, and
that's why everything. And that's why in that book we were reading about the mindset of Cus D'Amato, and Cus will talk about how if you can focus on, if you can have the discipline to focus on what's going inside of the ring and not pay attention to the things outside the ring, that's a mark of a champion. That's the discipline and the characteristic of a champion, because if you can separate those two and focus strictly on the boxing, you will propel. Like when you walking from your dressing room to the ring, it's a lot of going on. But if you can just focus on that ring, what's about to happen, and know that you are entitled to be a champion because you put in the work. And that's the thing that I really love about Cus D'Amato and his philosophy, and just the way how he sacrificed his life for the embedment for the sport of boxing. Cus' struggle was real too.
Oh,
because
the mob was always after him.
The mob. Not only that though, but Cus used to sleep on the floor. He slept at the gym. If my memory serves me well, when he went to the Army, he would sleep on the floor instead of sleeping in the bed,
right?
Because he didn't want if he got captured or whatever. He wanted to make sure that he was prepared to be in an uncomfortable position, and so he would sleep on the floor. And Cus was just one of a kind, and I can see why Mike Tyson is so ever indebted to Cus D'Amato, because it was the psychological transformation in Mike Tyson's mind that made Mike Tyson believe in himself and everything that Cus was saying to him. And so Cus didn't get an opportunity to see the manifestation of the vision, but we're going to take that baton and we're going to run with it. We're going to run with it, Cus. We never met you, but we are inspired. We adore you. Everything that you stood for a man to, during that time, segregation was real. And when you were driving the boxers to go fight, and it was time to check in the hotel room, and you and Camilla, you was like, well, if you can't accept them in this hotel, then I ain't gonna be in the hotel. And you used to sleep out on the bus with them. You know what I mean? Like, so Cus wasn't all about that old lip wrestling and all that. He was strictly about the walk. And I'm not gonna lie, like, Cus, like, reading your books and we have to finish. I think I got this much left in Iron Ambition.
You do? You've been reading it like that?
Yeah, I got this much.
Okay.
I got this much left. You read it already, right? I got this much, but that's a fascinating book, and Mike Tyson details the story how Cuss helped him believe in becoming
A champion.
a champion, man.
Because he didn't see it. He
Yeah,
couldn't
he-
see
yeah,
it. He didn't see what Cuss saw in him.
And that's the thing about a leader, a visionary. A visionary can see things that the crew may not see. And so, like, when God spoke to me, he said, hey, man, you and Sheila going through the boxing thing. I was like, what? I was like, we don't even know nothing about no boxing. But we start researching. We start, you know what I'm saying, becoming a student of the craft. And, you know, we ran across Custom Motto and we fell in love, and we start educating ourselves and reading, because I think
And watching.
and watching videos and watching it, and just, you know, like for instance, how Mike Tyson will talk about that number system. We were listening to so many Cuss videos that it was kind of like that number system. 5, you know what I'm saying? 2, 1, you know what I mean? Like, we wanted to I don't know, man. We wanted his voice to be tattooed on our heart and our spirit and our mind, because what we're doing is what Cuss was doing for the kids in New York. He was getting the kids from the slums, like the ghetto.
Yeah.
And he was allowing them to stay in his 14-bedroom mansion. Now, I don't know today.
No, I don't
You can
trust
do that,
it
man.
today.
Cuss, I'm sorry, Cuss.
No,
It's totally different how it used to be, Cuss. I'm just saying,
People
bro.
killing
I mean,
folks.
it's crazy.
You help somebody, they'll take your life.
They take your life. But the philosophy and the fundamental principle about being mentally strong and implementing everything that we learn and is continuing to learn and seeing and hearing. And that's how we look at life about the peekaboo. You know what I'm saying? We want to guard ourselves. You feel me? We want to guard ourselves, make sure, you know, that, hey, man, we just like that. So everybody got their own styles. We just feel, now some people saying that the peekaboo not good, but, you know, to each his own. But, you know, there is some advantages and disadvantages. If you're a short fighter, they say that the peekaboo is great, but if you tall, there is some discrepancies that can be, you know, in favor of the opposing fighter or whatever. But it was this white guy that I seen that used to be trained by a Cuss, and he was like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", something like that. And he was using the peekaboo. You know what I mean? So, you know, now I love the peekaboo, but I also love Floyd Mayweather defense. I ain't gonna lie. Floyd Mayweather defense is like,
like I had talked about last week. I like the fact how they can change their opponent's direction.
Yeah.
Like, I like how he does that, and that's I just love it.
Andre Ward was good too. He a champion. I mean, it's so many great fighters that have so many great styles, but the thing that I don't see in these fighters today is head movement. We don't see that.
It's like it's like no head movement, and they always have their
guards.
Like this or just like this. It's never like this, and I'm like, what are you doing? You can just get snuffed anytime, and you're not even.
And man, and shout out to any, you know, young boy, young girl, anyone who's ever had aspiration to become an amateur or a professional fighter, man. Man, I just want to say, man, yo, keep going, bro. Don't stop. Please don't stop.
Continues.
The TMC, the marathon continues, bro, because you never know. One day we might be talking about you and your testimony. And you see how all these guys' testimony has inspired Sheila and I, that we talk about them and we draw from that. So even when times are tough for us, because life, that's just life, we draw on the strength of those champions, and then we start remembering what those guys went through. And But most importantly, it's the word of God. It's our foundation that give us the strength to keep going anyway. But adding on to that, we think about those boxers who had, overcome huge obstacles to become world champions in different weight classes. And so we're just so inspired by these great fighters, and we want to encourage those young boys, young girls, young men, young women, women and men who are currently boxing to not give up, man. I don't care what you got going on. You stay focused, bro, because I'm telling you, bro, that opportunity comes just like that. And when that opportunity does come, you want to make sure that you prepare for your opportunity, because opportunity don't come around all the time. So it's very important to be prepared for your opportunity so you can take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much, you said everything. You really did. But I want to switch it up just real quick because I know it's almost about that time. Just one thing, and I told you I wanted to talk about when I had told you what the president had said. And I think that plays with it
Oh
too,
yeah.
but
Oh,
the
you talking about
distraction.
that? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just real quick, I was watching on TikTok. I watch clips. I don't actually watch the shows. It's this guy. His name is Jason Lee, and he's big in Hollywood, and he has his own little show. He had Krishan Rock and Blueface on there. He said he had just come from the White House, and the president had said that this couple is the most talked about, the most followed, to the point that people don't even know what's going on and what the White House is even saying, like their press conference or anything. And I have to say that's sad because with us talking about the struggle is real and staying on your journey, the marathon continues and seeing the end results, a lot of us, that's not what we're doing. And then to even piggyback off of when my husband was talking about the kids fighting the teachers, the kids fighting themselves, I watched a clip of Krishan Rock. She's the co-producer. We're even talking about her, but it's a reason why. The co-producer, and I believe Blueface is the producer of a show called Baddies West. Well, I looked at the audition and then I looked at the show on TikTok. It's a clip. And it's very sad how you have these women that all they do is fight. There's no talking. All it is, I don't like you. You disrespected me. You shouldn't have said what you said. Now get up. I want to fight you, and you. So run up. For the auditions, it was very sad because not only were they dressed inappropriately, but what it was that they were saying, what they offer. Now, that's good that some of them do have their businesses, but they were doing things that's just, in my opinion, is not right. And that's why also, besides maybe the kids just wanted to do what they want to do, maybe it's personal, their family, the demographic area where they live, but also the music and entertainment, period. To where now it's, we're not doing any talking, we're just fighting. And now it's coming rolling over, and it has been into the schools. So, what I want to say to the parents, we understand that things are very hard. The struggle is real, whether if you're married or if you're single, and you're doing the best that you can. You have to go to work, but there has to become a point to where you know what your child is doing. And even though you may be doing all you can, sometimes kids just go on another path. So it can go either way. We have to do better. And I spoke to my friend today. I don't even know her name. The elder young, I called her my elder. And I had spoke about her last week. She said back in her times that it was the community that raised children. So if you lived next door to somebody and you did something, that neighbor was going to tell your parents, or during that time, they would have permission to spank your child. Now, look, I get the spanking part. We don't want anybody, not unless you're family and you've been given permission to spank your child, because there's a lot of things that people are doing to kids and children that's just
And the laws
disgusting.
have changed.
That too. But it's gotten to the point where now we can't even say anything to the child or the children, because the parent or the parents are going to go off and want to fight you because they're trying to help your child. It can't be like that. Yes, we have to be careful with who talks to our kids, because stranger danger, I get it. But it has to come to a point, if your child is doing something and the teacher is telling you, you know your child's doing wrong. You can't get an attitude and go off on the teacher and then want to fight the teacher. It just is what it is. So we all have to do better. The Stafford Boxing Club mentoring program, we're trying to fill in that space,
That gap, that void. And
to try to help everybody out.
And shout out
And
to
not
Feeding
judging.
Georgia families too.
Oh yes,
For
I
real.
love
Allie.
Yeah, and her
Man,
husband.
for real, Allie and Will.
Thank
They're
you.
doing a remarkable job with Georgia feeding families, man. They really are. And we appreciate their partnership with the Stafford Boxing Club mentoring program, where we once a month we pick up a lot of food, and then we go to the kids and we distribute it to the kids, whatever. But we don't post that stuff on social media, and I don't know why I even talked about it, but I'm not talking about it for any notoriety or to say, hey, we doing this, we doing that. It just, we wanted to give them their card and, some props, and, we really respect what they do for the community, because it's definitely needed.
And shout out to everybody at Talk and Fight, and
Fight.
Graham and Eric. And before we go, one last thing, I promise. Check us out. We have the Stafford Boxing Report Facebook page. We have the Stafford Boxing Club Facebook page, as well as Instagram, Twitter,
YouTube.
Snapchat, YouTube, and TikTok. So check us out. Look at all the reels on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to get more followers on TikTok. Y'all are hard on TikTok. My gosh. And Twitter is a trip. My.
Twitter is whoo, baby.
www.talkinfight.com. If you see my post, I do post their link, which will take you
directly to their website.
So visit their website. They have so much more going on than just the podcast. They're doing things that will help others in and out of the boxing industry as well.
Real talk.
Talk and Fight cares. Talk and Fight cares for the people.
For real.
Well,
God believed in us. God did. For real. Guess what, y'all? We appreciate you tuning in for the Stafford Boxing Report.
It's been real.
Stafford Boxing.
The making of champions. Making of champions. What have you done for me lately? Oh, shout out to Candy and Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Boot camp cycling in the house.
For sure.